bobbles the ball a little bit. Back to Croft. And a little too much to handle. Tigers get the ball. Maggie Robbins with it. Gives it to Hale. Hale from 3. She gets 3. Tigers up 5-0. The Crew rebound it. 2 against 1, but they cannot get it done. Addie Putnam, too good of a defensive player to let that one go through. Robbins looking around. Gets it to Napoli. It's a brick on the shot. It'll be Dallas ball. This is an important game, folks. If the Tigers are to win, or if Schreiner loses today, they will secure a bye in the conference tournament. If Dallas wins, they will secure a spot in the conference tournament period. And the Crew drive it down. There'll be a foul on the Tigers. That foul is on on Addie Putnam. The first shot from Hall. Bricks off the rim. The next one's good, though, getting Dallas's first points of the game. Napoli driving the ball down the court. Over to Robbins. Robbins passes it to Hale. Hale to Milton. Milton from 3. Can't get it. The full press defense. Launches it, intercepted by Milton. Well, it looks like there was a foul.
Foul number 30, Ashlyn Milton.
A foul on Milton.
That's team foul number 2.
2 fouls already for the Tigers. Dallas bounds it in. Shot from 3. It is good. Ashley Hall. And the Crew get it again and score again. That's Caroline Croft. And in a blink of an eye, Dallas has taken the lead against the number 4 team in the nation. Hale looking around. Gives it to Robbins. Maggie Robbins gives it to Hale. And she is just so good with her ball control, folks. Trinity takes the lead again. They're able to sneak it past the defense. And a shot from 3. Not good for Hall this time. Napoli driving it down. And a pass to 4 defenders. Ill-advised from Napoli. Croft. Looks like it touched one of the Tiger defenders. Dallas gets to inbound it. Inbounded to Hardin. Who gets it in? Robbins looking to get Trinity another lead. We've had multiple lead changes already, folks. And Robbins misses her shot. And Dallas driving down. Throws it out of bounds. Dallas will get to rebound. Or inbound, I should say. Hall will take the inbound. Bailey Melton coming in for the Crew. And the Tigers will get the ball back. Coming in for Hardin. Robbins leading the charge down the court. Robbins with an amazing pass. Wow, folks. Putnam drains it from 3. Was wide open. Robbins had them all fooled. That's going to be another foul on Milton. Maggie Shipley coming in for Milton. DeCenta makes the first free throw. Dallas has not made the conference tournament in a very long time. It's been since 2017. Dallas is going to be playing their hardest today to try and get their place in the conference tournament. As Robbins passes it to Shipley. Shipley to Putnam. Putnam to Shipley again. Shipley being swarmed. Gives it to Hale. Shipley again to Robbins again. 3, 2, 1. And the Tigers come up empty. We're tied here, 10-10. And Dallas drives it down. But poor ball control. Gets the ball out of bounds. Tessa Hastings checking in for the Crew. Croft to Hastings. And a travel called on Hastings. We got a timeout here, but I'll stick here with you. Tessa Hastings, who just checked in, is a very good three-point shooter. Second in the SCAC in three-point percentage. And this Dallas team is very, very young. Dallas in this year has doubled their wins from last year's and put themselves in a position to control their own destiny to get into the conference tournament despite not having a single senior on the team. So next year they're going to bring back this core again, and this core is very good. Dallas is 28th in the nation in three-point percentage, although they don't shoot from distance as often as other teams. They're 7th in the SCAC from three-point attempts, period. But when they do shoot it, when they do put it up, they tend to make it count. Tessa Hastings' three-point percentage is 43.8% and is only behind Ashlyn Milton of the Trinity Tigers. It is important to note that she has missed some time, but she's back on the court, and she's looking lively. So we'll see how she can help the Crusaders against the Tigers today, as the Tigers are looking to inbound. We have Napoli, who's going to give it to Robbins. We'll get to a story about Robbins later. Napoli to Shipley to Robbins. And that one's tipped and given to the Crew. Croft to Gillespie, and it's back to Croft again. And Croft to Hastings. Hastings, not a very good shot. Gives it back to the Tigers. Robbins over to Shipley. Shipley back to Robbins. Robbins drives in, and another stunning pass to Natalie Anderson. And the full court press strikes again as the Tigers get the ball back. Shipley driving in. And we have stopped play. The Tigers will inbound this. Emily Nelson in for Trinity. And for the Crew, they make a couple subs of their own. Imani Hardin back in. Robbins looking, gets it to Shipley. Shipley back to Robbins. Robbins moving, gets the pass to Natalie Anderson. Nothing doing though. Natalie Anderson will get to go to the charity stripe as she is fouled. Anderson misses the first shot. 12-10 here in San Antonio. And misses the second one as well. The Crew get it back. Get it to DeSenta, who gives it to Croft. Croft to Hastings. Hastings to Sullivan. And Croft can't make it, but they get the rebound and miss again. Back to the Tigers. Shipley shoots it over to Nelson. Nelson over to Napoli. Napoli driving in. Napoli gives it to Robbins. And a travel for Maggie Robbins. Adrian Alvarez checking in for Dallas. Will pass it in bounds. Gives it to Hastings. Hastings to DeSenta. DeSenta swarmed by Tigers. Gives it to Hardin. Back to DeSenta. And Hastings puts it up. Can't make it though. Napoli giving it to Nelson, who tried to pass it over to Natalie Anderson. Just couldn't connect. The Crew inbound it. And DeSenta driving in. Oh, bobbles the ball a little bit. Gets it to Sullivan. Sullivan shoots. Can't quite make it. Sullivan rebounds her own shot. Kicks it out to Hastings. Hastings can't make it. And the Tigers, Maggie Shipley going down. And Shipley is swarmed by some Crusaders. Some good defense by the Crew. It's what their coach, Brianna Sims, thinks they've improved on the most this season, is their defense. And you're seeing it here. Trinity has been held to 12 points, and we're almost to the end of this first quarter. And we got a foul as Hardin tried to make a shot. She'll go to the charity stripe. Scoring drought for the Crew, lasting about 3 minutes, 30 seconds so far. We'll see if Hardin can quench the drought, and she does. Hardin to tie the game. Cannot do it. Tigers driving down the court. And backcourt violation. A lapse of awareness there for the Tigers. Alvarez giving it to Hastings. Hastings back to Alvarez. Alvarez drives in. Tried to make the underhand shot, couldn't do it. Shipley going down the court. The Tigers haven't scored a while in their own right. 2 minutes now. Shipley looking around, driving in, spinning around. Gets it over or to Signs. Annika Signs checking in. And a foul on the Crew. A foul on Gillespie. Anderson has the ball. And that is another foul. On Gillespie again. 2 fouls back to back. Tigers to inbound. And from 3, Signs is good from 3. The Crew driving down the court. Oh, almost slipped. And that's going to be a travel. Travel on DeSenta as she slipped near midcourt. Tigers to inbound. Shipley looking for Nelson. Can't get open. Gets it to Sky O'Rourke. O'Rourke to Nelson. Nelson over to Signs. Signs back to Shipley. Shipley driving in, puts it up, and puts it in. Tigers up 17-11 with just a minute to go here in San Antonio in the first quarter. The Crew driving it down all by herself. Harden can't do it. Disappointed in herself there. And the long court pass is not good for the Tigers. But a bit of confusion on whether the play was still alive allows the Tigers to take advantage and force the Crew to foul the Tigers. Sky O'Rourke at the charity stripe. Bailey Mountain checks back in for Harden. O'Rourke makes the first shot. Bringing the Tiger lead, 18-11. Can't make the second shot, though. Hastings, oh, too low of a pass, gets tipped up. Jump ball. Coach Hill not very happy about that one. Trinity will inbound. Maybe a bit quick on the jump ball call there. Inbounding it to Signs. Signs over to O'Rourke. O'Rourke giving it to Nelson. Nelson gives it to Anderson, who gets it in with an and one. Coming up. Oh, my apologies. Oh, no. Yeah. Just took a while for our scoreboard to update. And the Tigers will inbound again as their aggressive defense nets them another turnover. Looking Shipley. Shipley driving in. Gives it to Anderson. Anderson to Signs, who can't make the shot. The Crew driving down. And a big heave by DeSenta doesn't make it as the Tigers lead 20-11 at the end of this first quarter. I'll stick around with you for this little break because the Tigers, of course, lost their first game of the season at Colorado College. I talked with Coach Cameron Hill and asked him how the team practice was after the first loss of the season. He said it was intense. He said this was the dream team that you want to see after a loss. It was chippy, it was intense. And he said after the flight home that the stewardesses came up to him and said and commented about how respectful the team was on the flight. And he said he couldn't be happier that the team could react so well after such an emotional loss like that. And here the Tigers are trying to start anew. Meanwhile, for the Crew of Dallas, they won their last two last week against Centenary, and then they smacked St. Thomas to get themselves good position in the conference tournament race. They are a young team. They are a fun team to watch. I asked how they've gotten so much success despite being so young, and Coach Calver Sims told me that they've really bought into this opportunity I talked about what we were trying to build here, and they knew they'd have opportunities to play, and they have definitely lived up to it. Dallas inbounds here. And the ball slips away from DeSenta. DeSenta will be able to inbound it. A wide open Ashley Hall gets the inbounds pass. Over to Croft. Croft back to DeSenta. DeSenta driving in. Can't get it. Napoli lobs it over to Shipley. Shipley over to Putnam. Putnam back to Napoli. Napoli back to Shipley. Shipley to Napoli again. Napoli driving in. Gets the foul. Napoli will go up to the three-point line. The first foul for Croft. Napoli makes the first shot. And the Tiger lead grows to 10. And Napoli sinks the second shot as well. The Tigers have doubled the Crew's scores. And a little bit of bobbling the ball. A timeout is called by Dallas, wanting to not lose the ball for another time. I'll stick with you through this timeout. And I also asked Coach Hill about the biggest challenge he faced in Colorado College in that loss, and he said it was just finding the bottom of the bucket. Colorado College is the second best team in the conference, and is very comprehensive in how they play. And at a dash up, they're playing the #1 team in the country. They really want to knock us off. And it's just a recipe for a game to kind of sneak up on us. But he said he looked at the season stats afterwards, and he said what happened there is that we underperformed and Colorado College overperformed, and that's what happened. We know we can beat them. We just had an off day that day. There's no excuse for it. He says he'll never say losing is a good thing, but he thinks that experience was important. The Crew to rebound, or inbound. Launching it over. Intercepted by Milton to Robbins, who can't make the shot from 3. And tipped. Napoli takes it away. Napoli over to Shipley. Shipley driving in. Shipley can't make the layup. The Crew being absolutely swarmed by this Tiger defense. Croft hands it over to Hastings, or Gillespie. Croft handed it to Sullivan, who tried to drive in. Putnam on the foul. Dallas will inbound here. Adrian Alvarez coming in for the Crew in place of Ashley Hall. Inbounds it over to Croft. Croft looking. Gets it to Sullivan, but it's a travel on Gillespie, not Sullivan. My apologies. Robbins passes it to Shipley, who passes it back to her. Robbins gets it to Napoli. Napoli over to Putnam. Putnam moving around, gets it to Milton. And Milton from 3 can't make it. And that is a foul on Shipley. Croft to inbound it. Gets it to Alvarez. Alvarez swarmed by the Tigers. And Shipley misses the shot. Robbins puts it up and makes it in. And another foul committed by the Tigers. All right, Croft gets the inbounds pass. Gets it over to DeSenta. DeSenta over to Alvarez. Alvarez from three. Just barely can't make it. Hastings can't corral the ball, and it goes back to Shipley. Shipley looking around. And a bit of a shoe shine, it seems, off of Alvarez. Robbins to inbound it. Robbins tosses it over to Napoli. Napoli driving in, loses the ball. It's a scramble. Jump ball.
Jump ball, white ball, Trinity ball.
Trinity will get the ball. Napoli just lost control of it. Robbins looking for an open player. Finds Putnam. Putnam tries to put it up, but can't get it in. And the Crew charge down. Let's step out of bounds. Against this so aggressive Tiger defense that has been swarming them the entire game. Robbins going down the court. Trying to find Napoli. Gets it to Milton instead. Milton to Putnam. Putnam driving in. Puts it up. And puts it in. 2 points for Addie Putnam. And the ball bobbled. Robbins flashy pass to Shipley. And a timeout called by the Crusaders as the Trinity lead is 28-11, 17 points. I will stick around with you guys here on the Tiger Network. And these Trinity Tigers are on course to be a top 4 team in the nation. They dropped to number 4 after their loss to Colorado College, only being put behind the 3 undefeated teams in the nation. But they are an aggressive defense, and they are the 4th best team in the country in forcing turnovers. Maggie Robbins herself is the 4th in the nation in steals per game. Whenever the Crew have gotten the ball, they have seen the full brunt of this Tiger defense. And Coach Sims told me it is hard to prepare for. You almost can't prepare for it. The Crew drive down. Can't make it, and rebound. And a foul. Igberedian. Is that the charity stripe? She checks in. Igberedian misses the first shot. Nora Igberedian, a freshman. Can't get the second shot either. Napoli drives down the court, gets it to Shipley, who shoots it from 3. Just a bit off. Igberedian gets it over to Alvarez. Alvarez going down the court, gets it all the way to Gillespie, who is able to put it in. Robbins gets it over to Napoli, who takes a deep shot. Just shy. And the Crew going back down. Gillespie over to Igberedian. And Gillespie can't finish it off. Napoli going down, gives it to Robbins. Robbins over to Putnam. Putnam over to Hale. Claire Hale back in the game. And Robbins gets it to Hale. And Hale can't put it in, but Shipley gets the rebound. Flying out of nowhere. Gets it to Hale again. Hale can't put it up, it seems. Gets it to Shipley. Shipley drives in. Gets it to Robbins. But can't get a shot off before the foul. Shipley went down hard there and is slow to get up and is limping. Shipley insisting that she's okay and staying in the game. Robbins looking to inbound. Gets it to Napoli. Napoli enters the perimeter. Gets it to Robbins on the outside. Robbins drives in. Puts it up. Can't get it in. Hale with the rebound. And a foul. Hale will step to the free-point line. Nelson checks in for the Tigers in place of Maggie Shipley. Hale sinks the first one. 29-13 in favor of the Tigers. And Hale sinks the second one as well. All right. How will the Crew dissect the defense this time? They drive it down the court in a flash. Hastings driving in. Hastings can't get it in. Robbins driving down the court. And Robbins nearly did it all by herself. But she got blocked. She will get to inbound it. And Robbins inbounds it a little precariously. She gets the ball back and tries to put it up. Can't do it. Robbins with the ball again. Robin passes it to Napoli. Napoli trying to drive in. Shot clock. And another foul. Dallas is at the point where they are going to the charity stripe for 1-and-1s. This Tiger team does commit a lot of fouls. They are one of the worst defenders in the country in fouls per game. DeSenta will be taking these shots. The foul on Natalie Anderson. Her first foul of the game. Oh, my mistake. It is Croft taking the shots. Sinks the first one. Croft sinks them both. The Tigers storming down the court again. Robbins shoots it over to Napoli. Napoli over to Claire Hale. Claire Hale to Maggie Robbins. Maggie Robbins back to Claire Hale. Over to Emily Nelson. Nelson back to Robbins. And a travel called on Robbins. And Harden is back in for the Crew. Inbounded. Oh, but the tough defense. Akbaradian gets the ball. Alvarez over to Croft. Croft back to Alvarez. Alvarez trying to get in the paint. Fumbles the ball a little bit. Shoots it back out to Gillespie. To Agbaradian. Over to Croft. The shot too contested. Foul on the Crew. Napoli will be the one to inbound it. Over to Robbins. Robbins thinks about going in, but decides against it. Shoots it over. Claire Hale. Claire Hale loses the ball. Turnover for the Tigers. Sullivan gets the ball taken away by Maggie Robbins. Robbins passes it to Nelson, and that's an assist for Robbins. And another turnover. Hale puts it in. And in a flash, the Tigers put up more points on the Crew. Dallas takes another timeout. I'll stick with you here on the Tiger Network. Well, last time these two teams played up in Richardson, the Tigers were only ahead by 2 points going into the fourth quarter. At the end of the day, they ended up pulling ahead and winning that game in Richardson, but not without a little bit of a scare. 3 Tigers fouled out of that game. Napoli, Robbins, and Milton, when it was all said and done. Shipley led the scoring for the Tigers in that game with 22 points off the bench, followed by Napoli, who scored 19. The Crew were down by 17 at the end of the first quarter in that game. A bit similar here. So don't count the Crew out just yet. As the Crew go down, Alvarez gets it to Sullivan. Sullivan can't do much with it, but does get fouled. So Sullivan will be able to take some three-point shots. Natalie Anderson on the foul. Sullivan sinks the first one. And Sullivan sinks them both. Trinity still doubles Dallas' score. They have quite a way to go. But they have certainly limited the Tigers' offense in this first half. At the end of the first quarter of the last time that they played, the Tigers had scored 34 points. This time, they've only scored 34 points in one half. Nelson. We get some subs for the Crew. DeSenta and Hall back in. Napoli takes the inbounds pass. Napoli driving in. Nothing doing, though. Alrighty, Croft gets it into Hall. Hall has some trouble with it. Alvarez back to Hall, back to Alvarez. And Alvarez hits the bottom of the backboard. Nelson looking around. Emily Nelson driving in, puts it up, and puts it in. At 2 for Nelson. And this full court press once again surrounding the Crew. Hall gets it to Alvarez. But a travel is called. It'll be Tiger ball. As Signs inbounds it to Nelson. Nelson over to Sky O'Rourke. O'Rourke back to Signs. Signs puts it up and puts it in. Annika Signs. That's her second three-pointer this game. And Hale. Wow. Signs scores again. But it was an impressive save by the Tigers. A ball that would have been out of bounds, but they did not give up on it. They wanted to make sure that that one would go into the bucket. The Crew trying to find a weakness in the Tigers' defense. Fowler, Camille Fowler, and for the first time this game. Ashley Hall commits a foul on Sky O'Rourke, who will step up to the charity stripe. In and out on the first shot for O'Rourke. And O'Rourke is good on the second shot. Fowler passes it in. And the Tigers take it away. Hale puts it in. Maybe a bit too fast for the Crew's own good. Croft driving it down. Croft getting absolutely blocked by O'Rourke, who will be tagged with the foul. First one does not go in. Caroline Croft, 1 for 1 in that trip to the charity stripe. 1 for 2, rather. And a foul, a charging call, I believe, called on the Tigers. Coach Hill not happy about that one. Camille Fowler gives it to Croft. Croft over to Melton. And back to Fowler. Fowler gets it into Melton. Travel on Melton. Anderson gets it into Nelson. Nelson over to O'Rourke. O'Rourke gives it to Hale, who is fouled. The foul committed by Hastings. 2 shots for Hale. The first shot goes in. And Hale sinks the second one as well. The Tiger lead 46-18, and maybe expanding as the shot from deep goes in. Emily Nelson. And 2 more scored before the buzzer by Sky O'Rourke. The Trinity defense coming in clutch And the Tigers break 50 in the first half. This is the end of the first half. Trinity is up 51-18 against Dallas. We will take a break here on the Tiger Network for halftime. I'll be back just before halftime gets finished. Stay tuned here on the Tiger Network. Hello, everybody. This is Reader Zalis back with the Tiger Network, and we are about a minute away from the end of halftime. And I'd just like to share a story, a remarkable story about Trinity's very own Maggie Robbins. Maggie Robbins collected a triple-double in the Tigers' last home game against St. Thomas. She had 12 points, 12 assists, and 10 steals. She is the first player at Trinity with the triple-double since Danielle Hubenak had 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists against Hardin Simmons on November 20th, 2009. Jenna Smith is the only other player in the last 20 years for Trinity to record such a feat. She did so twice, once against Oglethorpe University on February 16, 2003 with 13 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 steals. But she also did it against TLU on December 7th, 2004 with 11 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 steals. Certainly in rare company is Maggie Robbins. As we get underway here in the second half, the Crew start with the ball. Hardin puts it up and puts it in. Dallas scores quickly, and they'll need to keep scoring quickly if they want to surmount the mountain of points that Trinity has scored. They're up by 31 right now. Hale for three. Can't get it. Claire Hale leading Trinity in points right now with 13. Meanwhile, Milton drives down, gets it over to Putnam, who gets it to Napoli. Napoli's good from three.
Three-pointer, Josie Napoli.
Croft over to DeCenta. DeCenta gets it to Hardin. Hardin looking. Maybe a bit of confusion on who the ball was going to there. Gets it to Croft. Hall passed it to DeCenta. DeCenta over to Gillespie. Gillespie back to Croft. And Hall just a bit too strong there. And Napoli's pass goes wide. But it did hit a Crusader player. So the Tigers get to inbound Maggie Robbins over to Napoli. And Josie Napoli trapped, gets the ball out to Putnam. Addie Putnam gets it to Milton. And Milton is fouled.
Foul number 15, Maria DeCenta. That is her first. Team foul number 1.
The foul on DeCenta for the Crew. Milton sinks the first shot. And Milton sinks the second one as well. And the Crew. Croft, surrounded by Tigers, gets the ball out. Croft has the ball again. Hardin, who passed it to Hall. Hall puts it in. Maggie Robbins gets it to Ashley Milton. Milton loses the ball to DeCenta. DeCenta gets it to Hardin. And Napoli committing the foul. DeCenta to inbound it. Hands it over to Croft. Croft over to Gillespie. Gillespie back to Croft. And Croft puts it in. Robbins walks down leisurely the court. Claire Hale driving in. The ball taken away by the Crew, who drive it down. DeCenta gets it to Hardin. Hardin trying to muscle her way in. Ends up falling over. And the Crew to inbound here. Lob it over to Gillespie, who tried to put it in, but couldn't quite do it. Robbins driving down. An impressive pass from Robbins, but she was fouled before Putnam was able to get the shot off. So Robbins will instead have to inbound. And Napoli getting fouled there. Some scores from other games around the SCAC. Colorado College leading Texas Lutheran by 10, 36-26. And Schreiner leading Austin College 41-30. If Schreiner were to lose that game, that would also get a bye for the Tigers. Robbins gets the ball, can't put it in. Hale is able to get it in though. And the Crew somehow getting past the Tigers. And the ball going off of a U Dallas player. Adrian Alvarez checking in. Hill getting it to Robbins. Robbins over to Putnam. Putnam to Milton. Milton to Claire Hale. Over to Josie Napoli. Napoli over to Maggie Robbins. Robbins puts it up and puts it in. 3 points for Robbins. Robinson inbound here. Over to Napoli. Napoli gets it to Milton. Milton over to Putnam. Putnam to Robbins. Robbins drives it in but can't put the ball in the bucket. The defense there was aggressive. A little too aggressive perhaps. Tessa Hastings checking in for the Crew. Alvarez. Over to Hastings. Hastings gives it hard, and Hastings takes a shot. Air ball. The Crew to inbound it here. Getting it to Hastings again. And Hastings pass. Putnam got a hand on it, but she hit it out of bounds. Hastings will inbound the ball. Hastings giving it to Alvarez. Alvarez back to Hastings. And another Hastings pass is tipped. The foul on Alvarez. Gives the Tigers the ball. Napoli moving down the court. And the pass read like a book by Alvarez, who can't make the layup. She rebounds her own missed shot. Unfortunate for Alvarez, unfortunate for the Crew. They'll take any points that they can get at this point. Two players checking in for the Tigers. Maggie Shipley and Natalie Anderson. And for Ashlyn Milton and Claire Hale. And for the Crew,
Number 5, Maggie Robbins for 2.
Ike Baradian. And for the Crew, Robbins. First shot. Sinks it. Second shot for Robbins. Sinks it again. Ike Baradian taking the ball, giving it to Hastings. Hastings getting it to Harden, who gets it over to Hall. Hall from 3 is no good. Robbins has the ball again. And Robbins' pass. Very rare Ilevites pass from Robbins. The Tigers do contest another pass, though, and hit it out of bounds. The Crew will inbound. 9-0 run for the Tigers.
Timeout on the floor. One more time and big hand for the Tiger cheerleaders.
And we have a media timeout here, but I'll stick with you here on the Tiger Network. When we speak about blocks, Dallas is one of the best in the nation at blocking. They are 37th in the nation in blocks per game with 4.8. Second in the conference only to the Southwestern Pirates, who have 5.2. Jordan Gillespie is second in the SCAC in blocks per game at 1.7. Very impressive. And for the Tigers, I asked Coach Hill a lesson that he has learned this season as a coach. And he said he learned that not everyone is created equal. He said he really wanted to complete an undefeated season, but he didn't realize that for others, that 0 next to the record would add stress. And not everyone can handle that stress. And that is the lesson that he says he has learned as a coach this season. He says watching the team get wins against really good teams is a lot of fun. But over time, getting all those wins can add pressure to a team like the Tigers. The Tigers are still number 4 in the nation, however. As the Crew inbound it, like Baradian. Giving it to Hall. Hall driving in. And Hall is fouled. She'll travel to the charity stripe. Every foul that the Crew commit now will send the Tigers to the line. In a game where they're already down by 40, they cannot afford to keep giving free points. Both of the free points, no good, but they're able to rebound the second missed one. The foul on Maggie Robbins. Sending Harden, Imani Harden, to the charity stripe. Misses the first one. And Harden drains the second one, ending a 3-minute scoring drought for the Crew. Napoli going down, gets it to Shipley. Maggie Shipley over to Maggie Robbins, who gets it over to Napoli. Back to Shipley, back to Napoli, who hits it from deep. And the Crew, too tangled up in Tigers. Oh, they get the ball out. Hall driving in. What an impressive shot from Hall. She was swarmed by Tigers. I don't know how she got that one off. Maggie Shipley lobs it over to Maggie Robbins. And air ball for Maggie Robbins. Foul committed by Gillespie. which will send Natalie Anderson to the three-point line, looking to expand the Tiger lead. Anderson, good on the first shot. Anderson, good on the second shot as well. Bailey Timmons in for the Tigers, along with Annika Saenz. And the crew. Hall couldn't put the finishing touch on an impressive drive. She is fouled, though, so she'll step up to the three-point line.
That is team foul number 5. As Alyssa Sullivan goes in, there will be 2 shots for Ashley Hall.
Can't make the first shot. This is a Dallas team on a 2-win streak. It's their first multi-win streak since the end of December. They rattled off 4 wins at the end of the year. Included in those wins, oddly enough, were Centenary and St. Thomas, the same teams that they beat last week. The Tigers go down the court, handing it off to Shipley. Shipley passes it in to a lot of traffic. It gets launched out to Nelson. Nelson back to Anderson. And it was just a mosh pit. Foul committed by the crew. Will send Anderson to the line.
That's her second. It will be 2 shots for Natalie Anderson.
Foul on Hardin. And Natalie Anderson sinks both shots. Akbaradian gets the inbounds. Ships it over to Hastings. Hastings to Hall. The ball ends up out of bounds. Tigers get the ball back. Annika Saenz giving it to Emily Nelson. Nelson to Timmons. And Bailey Timmons looking around. Gets it to Shipley. Shipley over to Nelson. And Nelson is fouled. The Tigers just keep going to the line. MK Pendergraft on the personal foul. She checks into the game. And Nelson sinks both shots. Akbaradian gets the inbounds pass. Akbaradian gets over to Hastings. Ripped out of her hands by Bailey Timmons. Is called a foul. Crew don't realize that they're going to the line as well for every foul that the Tigers commit. And the first shot for Hastings doesn't go in. Hastings very quiet tonight. If she makes this, it'll be her first point of the game, but she doesn't. Shipley driving down the court. Nelson and to King, over to Timmons. Timmons can't make the shot. Hastings gets it over to Melton. Melton is fouled. She'll go to the line. Very impressive on this Tiger defense to shut down a dangerous three-point shooter in Hastings. And the first one for Melton is good. Bailey Melton, one of 9 freshmen on this Crusader squad. Normally they'd have 10, but I've heard that Maria Cordero is not with the squad currently. Or at least she will not be playing in this game. And the Tigers. Timmons can't do it. Agbardian launches it over. And Alyssa Sullivan puts it in for the Crew. Tigers driving down the court fast. Nelson over to Shipley. Shipley over to Timmons. Bailey Timmons looking around. Over to Elaine King. King giving it to Shipley. Shipley driving in. Gives it to Timmons, who tries to drive in, but can't do it. But Timmons will be fouled and step up to the three-point line.
2 shots for Bailey Timmons.
Shot number 1 for Timmons. Smooth as butter. Timmons misses the second one. Agbardian. Agbardian's pass tipped by the Tigers. It goes off of Tessa Hastings, and it will be Tiger ball. Shipley to inbound it here. Inbounds it to Nelson. Nelson giving it to Signs, over to Shipley. Back to Timmons. Timmons over to Nelson. Over to Signs. Annika Signs gets it in with an and 1 coming up.
Score in the basket to Annika Signs. Signs 1 shot.
Annika Signs for the N1. Can't get it. A bit loud off the backboard. And Hastings loses the ball. Shipley squanders an opportunity on the bobble. Nelson from 3, can't do it. Agbardian all alone up front. Can't put it in. Shipley getting it all the way to Nelson. Nelson over to Signs. Signs to King. King puts it in with an and 1 coming up. We are going back and forth here in San Antonio.
Back in the center of the game. And King for 1 shot.
Can't get the N1. That pass almost stolen away. Shipley trying to corral it. Nothing doing though. Nelson, however, gets it to Shipley, passes it behind her to Signs. Signs can't do it. It looked nice though. And the Crew inbound attempt goes straight out of bounds. Shipley to inbound it here. Inbounds it to Nelson. Shipley driving in. Gets it over to King. King puts it up. Can't put it in. King trying to get the ball. It's a scramble for it.
Jump ball, white ball, Tigers ball.
Jump ball, say the officials, and we get the ball going to the Tigers again. Nelson, quick inbounds pass. 18 seconds on the clock. And a foul on Maggie Shipley.
House number 31, Camille Fowler. That's her first.
Or not Shipley. My mistake. Seems it was on Timmons. Timmons gets one. And Timmons sinks the second. 17 seconds left in the third quarter. Akbaradian trapped. Gets it over to Fowler. Camille Fowler driving it down. Bailey Melton gets it in with an and one coming up. Foul committed by Elaine King. Her first foul of the game. Melton. Can't sink the and one. And Shipley thought it went off a Crusader, but the officials point that it actually went off a Tiger, most likely Maggie Shipley. Hall can't get the shot off before the buzzer. As the end of the third quarter here in San Antonio, Trinity is up 81-34. I'll stick with you here on the Tiger Network as we can go through some of the highlights. Hale Claire leads the team in points with 15. Natalie Anderson leads the team in rebounds with 7, and Maggie Robbins leads the team in assists with 4. Well over for the Crusaders, Ashley Hall leads the team in points with 9. Sullivan leads in rebounds with 5. And Adrian Alvarez leads the team, it's probably tied for the lead, in assists with 1. This is a Tiger team that has suffocated the Crew for 3 quarters. Just to remind you, last time they played each other, the Tigers were only up by 2 points heading into the fourth quarter. In this game, they're up by over 40. It's a shocking turnaround. It's a Tiger team obviously unhappy with their first loss of the season at Colorado College. And Dallas has really felt the brunt of that anger. We step into the fourth quarter here. Maggie Robbins, Josie Napoli, Ashley Milton, Claire Hale, Addie Putnam, all out on the court for the Tigers. The Crew inbound it. Croft giving over to Gillespie. Gillespie to Croft from 3. And it's an air ball. Akbaradian, Nora Akbaradian, Imani Hardin, also on the court, alongside Ashlyn Hall for the Crew. Maggie Robbins over to Putnam, and Napoli is fouled.
Foul number 15, Ashley Hall. That is her third. That's team foul number 1.
And Napoli gets the ball here. Robbins looking around, handing the ball to Putnam. Putnam over to Napoli. Napoli driving in. And the ball's tipped, but Maggie Robbins gets it. They get the shot off before the shot clock goes off. The Crew drive down. Gillespie, who needs to be careful, along with Hall, with 4 fouls. 1 more, and that'll be it. Good shot for Hall, out from the 3-point line. Robbins to Putnam, over to Napoli. Josie Napoli trying to drive in. Napoli gets fouled.
Fouls number 11, Caroline Croft. That is her fourth, team foul number 2.
Caroline Croft. Another foul for her. Milton puts it up, can't put it in though. Harden gets it over to Hall. Hall is fouled by Napoli. Croft, another player that needs to be careful for the Crew. Another player with 4 personal fouls. Napoli with that one is at 4 as well. Hall gets a rattler in. Ashley Hall puts both in for the Crew. Napoli handing it over to Robbins. Robbins to Putnam. Putnam back to Napoli. Josie Napoli driving in. Gets it over to Robbins. And Robbins can't get the three-pointer. Hale fighting for the ball. It goes in for the Tigers. And they will say Hale did take a shot, so she will get an and one.
Team foul number 3. And Claire Hale for 1 shot.
Shipley on deck for the Tigers.
Claire Hale 3 for the Tigers. In the game goes back to
She will come in for Hale, who sinks the and one. And Shipley blocked the inbound pass.
Foul number 44, Maggie Shipley, her second. Team foul number 2.
Committing a foul in the process. And the Crew launched the ball. A little too inaccurate, though. Ends up out of bounds. And the Tigers get the ball all the way on the other side of the court. Josie Napoli to make the inbounds pass. She will inbound it to Robbins. Robbins to Shipley. Shipley to Putnam. Putnam does a spin move and gets the ball in. Smooth moves by Putnam. Robbins gets the ball again. Backcourt violation by the Crew. Dallas chooses to call another timeout. We will stick here with you on the Tiger Network. I asked Coach Calver Sims how motivated this team is going into the final 3 games of the season. Dallas plays their final games all on the road. Once here, once against in Kerrville against Schreiner, and then they visit their crosstown rivals in Sherman and the Austin College Kangaroos. And she said that they are very motivated. It was a goal at the beginning of the season to make it in to the conference tournament, because unless if you count the COVID year, we haven't been there since 2017. And each game, it's been our focus to go game after game and keep our eyes on the ultimate goal to make this conference tournament. They control their own destiny. While it looks like that win may not come today, if they win at Kerrville, they will be in a very good position to make the conference tournament. And Calver Sims also told me that the biggest challenge that her team faced from the Tigers was their full court press defense. And as you've seen here today, folks, you can't mess with them. Robbins puts that one up and in. She makes it seem easy. Napoli gets the ball over to Putnam. Putnam drains it from 3. The Tigers have broken 90. And the Tigers get the ball again. Napoli, no one there. Bounces it off the rim. Agbaradian contending. The ball stays in bounds as Napoli throws it back in. Putnam taking a bit of a spill there. She seems okay, though. And Shipley and Robbins trying to contain the Crew. The Crew go down the court. And the ball is punched out by Melton. But nothing doing there. Goes straight to a Tiger. Robbins down the court. Gets it to Napoli. Napoli to Putnam. Putnam all the way over to Tierney. Shipley to Robbins. Back to Jennifer Tierney, who sinks it from 3. The Crew driving down Hastings. Melton has the ball, can't put it in. She is fouled, though. And this is a 13-1 run for the Tigers in the past minute and 44 seconds. They've scored 13 points in a little under 2 minutes, folks. Napoli will come out. Replacing her is Maddie Mueller for the Tigers. Melton sinks shot number 1. And she sinks shot number 2 as well. Robbins has now broken the double-digit mark in points with 11. Addie Putnam, 10 points to her name as well. Robbins looking around, gets it to Putnam. Putnam over to Mueller. Mueller over to Robbins. Robbins over to Shipley. Shipley going in. Loses the ball. And will be in possession of the Crew now. Adrian Alvarez checking in for Tessa Hastings. Adrian Alvarez gets the inbound pass, bobbles it, loses it, gets it back up and gets it out. And then she gets the ball again. And they call the foul on Putnam. Putnam will come out of the game after that foul. She didn't foul out. But Annika Sines coming in for her. Agbaradian gets sent to the charity stripe. And Agbaradian just a bit too short on the first shot. Agbaradian bricks the second shot. Robbins. Handing it over to Sines. Annika Sines giving it to Mueller, who gives it to Robbins again. Robbins looking for an opening. Gets it over to Shipley, who passes it in to Tierney, and Tierney puts it in. Adrian Alvarez lobs it over to Fowler, who shoots it out to Sullivan, who gives it to Alvarez, who tries to make a three-pointer, but cannot do it. Shipley driving straight in, And from 3, no good is Tyranny's shot. Tyranny committing the personal foul. Dallas is now going to make trips to the free-point line for every foul the Tigers commit. Camille Fowler on the first shot. Sinks it. Camille Fowler on the second shot. Can't quite get it in, but the Crew rebound the pass, or rebound the shot. But the ball goes out of bounds.
Timeout on the floor. Coming up next to men's game, Trinity and Dallas.
And it's a timeout, media timeout. Stick with you here on the Tiger Network, here in the fourth quarter. And just in a little bit, we will have the men's game for this series. That should be a very exciting game. So I recommend you stay tuned for it if you're still available. And folks, this game has been a very explosive one offensively for the Tigers. They're 4 points from breaking the century mark. And they have really shown that even though they wobbled, they did not fall down. They are going to go in and keep rolling over teams no matter what their record says. Coach Hill told me, we're not 20-1, we are 0-1. Our 20-win streak didn't just get snapped. We are starting a 1-game losing streak. He has instilled that mentality, and he says he wants to get back on the path to success. The Tigers, of course, in the tournament last year, beat the #1 team in the nation in the national tournament, and he says that was a lot of fun. And he saw how Colorado College reacted to beating Trinity, and he told the team, remember what you see here. The Tigers coming out of the timeout. Annika signs over to Tyranny to Shipley over to Sky O'Rourke, who gets it in. Oh, a bit of a collision there between Alvarez and Maddie Mueller. Alvarez seems to be okay, though. There's no ill intent behind that collision. Alvarez sinks the first shot. And Alvarez sinks the second one as well. Mueller gets the inbound pass. Gets it over to Sky O'Rourke, who gets it to Annika Science. Back to Mueller. Passing it in to Shipley. Shipley out to Tyranny. And Tyranny makes it 1-0-0 for the Tigers. They break the century mark. That's tacos, folks. The Crew looking to respond. Nothing doing, though. Lane King coming in for the Tigers, taking the place of Maggie Shipley. Annika Steins to inbound it. Gives it over to Mueller. Signs. Bobbles the ball a little bit, gets it back. King looking around. Gets it over to Mueller. Mueller puts it up. Can't put it in. King gets the rebound, but can't put it in. The Crew, and all alone in front. Sullivan puts it in. Mueller passing it down court to Tyranny. Tyranny to King. King over to Science. Science bobbles it again. Science gets it to O'Rourke. O'Rourke to Tyranny. Tyranny to King. King back to Science. And Sky O'Rourke gets the points and will get an and one attempt. And Hall has fouled out. Alrighty. 103 to 46 here for the Tigers. It'll be another trip to the charity line for Dallas. And Hastings' first shot bounces off the rim. Hastings' second shot, too inaccurate. The Crew rebound it though, but pass it straight to Tyranny, who gives it to Mueller. Mueller trying to pass it in to Signs, but Annika Signs can't finish it. Bailey Timmonson for Annika Signs. Fowler inbounds it. Alvarez with the foul. Mueller inbounds it over to Sky O'Rourke. O'Rourke looking in, gives it to King. King with the smooth pass over to O'Rourke. And the ball finds its way back to Mueller's hands. Over to King. Mueller takes a shot. Can't make it. But Tyranny gives it to King. Over to O'Rourke. O'Rourke does put that one in. 105 for the Tigers. King scoops that one up. Hands it over to Timmons. Timmons takes a three shot. And from way downtown, Timmons makes it a 108 to 46 game. Sullivan can't put the shot up. And Mueller, a bit too strong. Hastings. Agbardian goes out to Camille Fowler. Fowler handing it over to Alvarez. And that pass is stolen by Mueller, who gives it to Timmons, who can't make the shot. But Sky O'Rourke able to draw the foul. O'Rourke attempting to make it a 110 to 46 game. She sinks the first shot. The last time the Tigers had scored more than this 109 that they have now was all the way back in January against the Southwestern Pirates, where they scored 125. A very impressive offensive showing here for the Tigers. And the Crew driving down, Tessa Hastings. Hastings gives it over to Fowler. Fowler to Agbaradian, who's just waiting for an opening, holding the ball. Trying to drive in, puts it up, can't put it in. She does draw a foul, though. Agbaradian will step up to the charity stripe. With this, the Tigers will improve to 21-1 on the season, 12-1 in the SCAC, while the Crew will fall to 10-12 and 6-8 in conference play. Baradian gets one in, and the Tigers over to Mueller, who holds onto the ball. Pushing to Timmons. Timmons gets it. Timmons is just content to hold it as time expires. And folks, it is a 62-point victory for the Trinity Tigers as they cross out the Dallas Crusaders here in San Antonio. An impressive victory for the Tigers. Some stats for you. Hale Clare led the team in points with 18. Natalie Anderson led the team in rebounds with 7. And Maggie Shipley leading the team in assists with 5. Ashley Hall for the Crew led the team in points with 14. Sullivan for the Crew led the team in rebounds with 6. And Gillespie led the team in assists with 2. Thank you for tuning in, folks. In about 30 minutes, the men's game will start. Stay tuned on the Tiger Network. I've been Reed Rosales. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. And see you in about 30 minutes.